Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. My name's Damon, and this is about something that nearly broke my marriage, and then, strangely, changed how I understand love and partnership for good. My wife, Fiona, and I have been married for several years, and like most couples, we've had our ups and downs. But over time, a pattern started to show up, one that I wish I had recognized the very first time it happened. Every time Fiona didn't get her way, she shut down emotionally. There wasn't a fight, there weren't explanations, and there definitely wasn't a straight conversation about what was bothering her because she chose a different method altogether. Instead, she would withhold intimacy. First in small ways, then in ways that were impossible to ignore once the pattern clicked. At first, I brushed it off as a mood swing or the need for space after a long day. I told myself not to overthink it, because marriages ebb and flow, and that's normal. But the more I paid attention, the more obvious it became that it wasn't random at all. It was calibrated and precise, almost like a lever she could pull. If I said no to something she wanted, whether that was a favor, a decision she preferred, or even a simple disagreement about nothing urgent, suddenly she wasn't in the mood for closeness. And it wasn't only physical closeness that got rationed. She'd grow distant, uninterested, and cool in her tone, like a temperature drop that made a whole room feel different. The first few times I gave in, because who wants tension in their own home? I tried to fix it, to reassure her, and sometimes I even changed my mind just to reset us back to normal. And yes, it worked every single time. The moment she got what she wanted, she was affectionate again, as if nothing had ever happened, as if the silence and the cold had never taken up space between us. Looking back, it's easy to see it for what it was. Fiona had realized she could steer the situation without raising her voice, without arguing, and without even asking twice. All she had to do was make me feel like I was losing her, and I would scramble to bring the warmth back at any cost. For a long time I played right along. I convinced myself that if I just gave her what she asked for, we would be happy, and the home would be calm again. But then something shifted, because this time was different. This time, I finally hit the point where I realized I had been primed to feel like I had to earn my wife's love, and I decided I wasn't going to play that game anymore, not even for one more round. The final straw was a bag, yes, a designer bag. Fiona had been talking about it for weeks. A limited edition, overpriced thing that, in her telling, sounded less like a want and more like an inevitability. It wasn't presented as a request so much as a due. I never minded getting her nice things when I could. Everyone likes something special, and I've always believed generosity matters in a marriage. But the way she pushed it, like it was an expectation I was lagging behind, rubbed me the wrong way long before the price tag did. One evening she brought it up again. We were sitting in the living room when she held out her phone and showed me the bag for what felt like the 100th time. "Babe, my birthday is coming up. This is the one I want," she said. No excitement in the tone, not even hopefulness, just a firm line like a deal being finalized. I glanced at the price. It wasn't impossible, but it wasn't an amount to toss around without thinking, and I chose my words carefully. "Fiona, I know you really want it, and I'll get it for you, just not right now." My tone was neutral, not dismissive. I honestly thought it was reasonable, because I wasn't saying no at all. I was saying not yet. To Fiona, not yet might as well have been never. Her expression changed on a dime. She sighed dramatically and tossed her phone onto the couch. And then came the silence, thick, intentional, like a wall pulled down in one move. I could almost hear the gears turning, like she was already lining up her next step to punish me for not agreeing on the spot. When she finally let the pressure vent, it came out sharp. "Because you're saying, not now, like that actually means something." I shrugged and kept my cool. "Soon, Fiona. I just need to take care of a few other things first." It wasn't enough for her. "Forget it," she muttered, and walked to the bedroom without another word. I sat there and stared at the blank TV screen, wondering when every conversation had turned into a little war, when compromise had started to feel like control in disguise. I didn't realize it fully then, but that moment was the first visible crack in how this would go. That night, I slid into bed beside her. Normally, I'd put an arm around her or pull her close. Nothing much, just a simple touch that says, "We're okay." The second my arm brushed her, she pulled away. "Don't," she said, flat as a closed door. "I'm not in the mood for anything," she added, as if I'd crossed a line I didn't approach. I hadn't initiated anything beyond human contact. This wasn't misreading signals. It was a calculated response. It was punishment with a straight face. "I just wanted to hold you," I said, calm but firm, trying to keep the moment from collapsing altogether. "Well, I don't want you holding me," she answered, still not looking at me, and something inside me moved in a way I was done ignoring. I'd seen this move before. Every time I didn't fold, affection got withheld. Every disagreement ended in cold shoulders, in silence, and now in outright rejection. And every time, I'd been the one to say sorry, to smooth it over, to pay the fee for peace. Not this time. I wasn't going to pretend I didn't see what was happening. I wasn't going to beg for affection like a child put in time out. So I made a different choice, and it changed everything. Not overnight, but steadily. Instead of wasting energy trying to pull her attention back toward me, I turned that energy toward myself. In the days that followed, I started refilling my time with things I used to love before I let them gather dust. The guitar in the corner came back to life in my hands. The half-read books got reopened and finally finished. The workouts returned, not to impress Fiona, but because doing something for myself felt good in a way I had forgotten. If she didn't want to talk, fine. If she didn't want to be near me, fine. I wasn't chasing anyone anymore. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to make things right. I was just letting things be. The shift was quiet at first, almost invisible if you weren't looking. But I felt it. I stopped pouring all my attention into someone who gave back only the bare minimum when it served her timing. When her friends came around, I didn't fade into the background the way I used to. I wasn't rude, I was present. I was the same funny, engaged person I've always been at my best. Only now I wasn't reserving that energy solely for Fiona's benefit. If one of them had a new hairstyle, I noticed, and offered a simple compliment. If someone cracked a joke, I laughed and added to it. I made eye contact, listened when they spoke, and asked natural follow-ups. People respond to being seen, and they did. They laughed at my jokes, started conversations with me, and genuinely enjoyed my company. At larger gatherings, I stopped hovering around Fiona and, without performing, became the center of my own social gravity again. I wasn't overdoing anything. I was simply there, warm and attentive, and folks gravitated toward that. Fiona noticed. She wasn't used to seeing me at ease, engaging without checking her face to see if I had permission. She wasn't used to me not seeking her out, not waiting for her to let me back into good graces after a silent treatment. For the first time in a while, I wasn't chasing. I was just myself, and suddenly, that version of me was popular. At first, she didn't look worried. Maybe she thought I was waiting for her to decide when I'd be allowed close again. But when she saw me connecting easily with her friends, something changed. The friends noticed too. They lingered around me more, pulled me into threads, even reached out directly instead of going through Fiona. And that's what really threw her. One evening at a small get-together at a mutual friend's place, Tessa, someone Fiona had known for years, laughed a little too hard at one of my jokes and touched my arm in a playful way. It wasn't serious. It was nothing. But I watched Fiona tense. Then Brooke grinned and said, "How come your husband is so much fun? I feel like I don't even know this side of him." Fiona didn't say anything, but I could tell she was paying attention. It snowballed from there. Another friend, Kayla, nudged Fiona and said, joking but not entirely, "Girl, if you ever get tired of him, send him my way." Fiona didn't laugh. Over the next few days, Fiona got observant. I caught her watching me at events, scanning conversations like she wanted to pick apart every smile and every laugh. One night, I walked into the bedroom and found her on the edge of the bed, with my phone in her hands. She didn't hear me at first. When she realized I was there, she put it down quickly, like the action could erase itself. The ridiculous thing was there was nothing to find. I hadn't done anything wrong, hadn't crossed a line. The need to check said more than any accusation could. Her frustration grew in the silence. The more she wanted to uncover something suspicious, the more it frustrated her that there wasn't anything. I wasn't cheating. I wasn't sneaking. The fact that she couldn't pin me to the mat ate at her in a way I could see. One evening I got home and she was dressed differently. No sweatpants and oversized tee. Instead, a fitted dress that held right where it should, hair done, light makeup. She wasn't going anywhere. She was staying home. But it was obvious she wanted to be seen, and seen by me. Then came the conversations. Out of nowhere, she started trying to talk to me again, asking about my day, laughing at things she normally passed over, tossing in a compliment here and there. "You've been looking really good lately," she said, while setting the table one night. I thanked her and kept it casual. The old me would have taken that as an invitation to rush back in, not this time. I knew the script. I knew what it would cost to buy the same ticket again. Something else returned that I hadn't seen in a long time. My favorite meals. The first time I thought it was coincidence. By the third time in a week, it was intention. Fiona wasn't the type to suddenly turn doting without an angle. Before, these gestures usually meant she wanted something in return. I wasn't biting. I still talked with her, sat and ate, and answered when she spoke. But I wasn't acting hungry for affection anymore. For the first time, she had to feel the other side of the push and pull. My attention wasn't something she could demand on schedule. She tried harder. She laughed at jokes that didn't deserve it. She laid out efforts I could tell she wanted me to praise in the moment. I saw through it and stayed steady. For once, she was the one who felt uncertain. The ground wasn't moving under my feet. It was moving under hers. One afternoon, I was in the living room scrolling my phone when she came in and stood in front of me. "I miss how things used to be," she said, quiet enough that I had to look up to read her face. I put my phone down and waited. She took a breath, fingers fidgeting like the words were heavy. "I feel like we're distant." I kept my face neutral and let the silence carry her to the end of the thought. She sat beside me, shoulders tense. "Can we talk?" That was the moment, the one I'd been waiting for, the one where she finally acknowledged that something was wrong, that the game she'd been playing had gotten away from her. I wasn't going to gloat. I was going to be honest. "I love you, Fiona," I said, calm and direct, leaning forward with my forearms on my knees. "But I'm done playing games." She listened, really listened. If you want affection, it has to be real. Not something you hand out when you get what you want. That's not love. That's control. And I'm not doing that anymore. She opened her mouth like an argument might be coming, then closed it. Her eyes dropped to her hands. "This marriage isn't about control," I added, softer but still firm. "If you want to be happy with me, we both have to stop acting like we're opponents. I'm not your rival, Fiona. I never was." We sat there in a silence that knew no maneuvering, no waiting for the next move, just two people in the same room facing the truth instead of dodging it. She nodded slowly and exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. "I hear you," she whispered, and for the first time in too long, I believed her. The changes came into focus quietly. It wasn't just the dresses or the dinners. She was actually trying. She asked about my day and listened because she wanted to know. When I said no to something, she didn't roll her eyes or punish me with distance. She asked why and considered the answer. It was different, and I appreciated it. But I didn't sprint to the middle. The old me would have run. The new me waited, because love isn't a transaction, and I needed to know she was serious. And she was. She stopped using intimacy as a weapon. She didn't push me away when she didn't get her way. She finally understood that the point of us was partnership, not power. The biggest shift, though, wasn't in her, it was in me. I learned to value myself enough to say that I deserve a marriage where I don't have to beg for basic love and respect. I never wanted to leave. I loved Fiona. But I was done being manipulated. Because I drew that line and refused to step back over it. Our marriage got better, still imperfect, because that's life, but real in the way that actually matters. No more games, no more punishments. Just two people who finally learned how to love each other the right way. This isn't a one-size-fits-all fix. Every relationship is its own ecosystem. But if someone is constantly holding affection over your head like a reward you only get when you perform, ask the hard question, is that love or is that control? If someone truly loves you, intimacy is not a paycheck for good behavior. It's a language you both speak without fear. So, what do you think? Have you ever been in a situation like this? Did I handle it the right way? Or would you have done something else? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts.